Welcome to Modern Bok. As you can see in that video just previously, this means huge things for South African rugby and South African fans as a whole, so it was good to see. And we're all eating humble pie today. I've had some comments on my own channel, on my social media, and between my family and friends. Just effectively, we'll be lucky if we lose by more than 20. So if we lose by less than 20. So I think this was a really beautiful and stunning example of how rugby doesn't matter what happens on the games before, it's on the day that counts. It's what you're willing to put into those 80 minutes or 84 if you want to count the rest. That's where it really counts. Those are the only minutes that count. Everything else is just white noise. So what a game. We're all eating humble pie. I think overall the box showed that everybody assumed, considering the ways they played previously, that we were going to lose we were lucky if we didn't lose by more than 20. So overall, beautiful performance. And New Zealand, nothing can be taken away from their game. They played a stunning game. And as I said previously in the previous videos, they came here to play. They came here to take the title and win. And the box threw everything in the kitchen sink to stop them. And it shows you testament to the quality of the New Zealand team, that you literally have to kill your players. Your players have to put everything on the line. And if you can put the opposing team to tears when you actually finally beat you, that is a testament. I mean, a couple of our players and even in my family and that, the messages were going insane. So it's a stunning thing, and well done to New Zealand for pushing other teams to be as good and to be better. That's what it really counts, and that's why you have those world-leading teams, to make sure that everybody else actually has to follow and be the lead, take the lead and understand and go forward. So well done, New Zealand. What a great game. So I will talk about some of the other things. In local news, there's been a lot of things about Rassie's job, questioning it, and I said previously that it's not right, it's not fair. It's only been 6 months. I mean, there's a lot of time, and as it matters, I mean, every game, it's only 80 minutes that take 6 months of training in it. And as you can see, last week it was pretty much you're fired. So this week he's a legend. I mean, he's currently technically the only Bok coach with a 100% record in the post since 1994. So I mean, that's pretty stunning. Well done, Rassie. Technically, I know it's a technicality, but still technically 100%. Well done to him. And I think that's just got to show that it's not about these games. It's about the World Cup. It's about growing the team you need. And I think Rassie's onto something now. So what a game. Going on to New Zealand's team, there was some really beautiful plays, classic New Zealand rugby, and classic tries. I mean, Jordie Barrett's beginning try, and then right afterwards, Aaron Smith's silenced everybody in South Africa. It was the right way to start a game, and they really did it. And I don't know how, but South Africa's pressure soon after that caused a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, that quick throw, Villi's tenaciousness scored it for us. And that really led us back into the game. And through that, the team found hope and confidence. Funnily enough, it's almost like it was a mathematics equation for Rassie Erasmus, because the average win in the last few years is 35 points. That is how many points New Zealand puts up against us, and we got 36. So I don't know if it was a mathematics equation, somebody put the calculator out, but well done. If that was the target, what a win. With those 36 points, as far as I know, it's especially the first half is the most points ever conceded by New Zealand in New Zealand. So it's nice to have a positive record to South Africa's name, and really well done. Beauden Barrett's game, yes, everybody can moan that with those kicks they would have taken it, but that is the pressure of the day. We saw it with Pollard and Yankees' previous games. If you pressure the fly-off, if you put the team under pressure, when those points when you make the fly-off, have it that those points matter hugely, it can change the way that they play. And we know that Beauden Barrett's had a little bit of a question mark when it comes to his kicking under pressure. And this is something good for New Zealand to take out, that they need to make sure that they have a backup plan in those tight games, in the World Cup next year, and something that they can also learn from. Because what they say, you learn nothing from a win, but you learn everything from a loss. So I think that's perfect for New Zealand, and also a good thing for New Zealand to take forward. Beauden Barrett had a pretty good game otherwise, so nobody can bring him back. He's still considered probably, and I think is the best fly-off in the world. So, I mean, South Africa effectively for the last 20 minutes had 2 fly-offs on just to contain him. So, still, I take nothing away from his game. Beautiful, beautiful game. And I've heard some rumblings about people moaning about the Nigel Owens and refereeing. I don't think that's fair. If you talk to people locally here, They also felt there was questionable calls. Yes, there was maybe a possible offside at the end, but there was a couple of forward passes people questioning. So I don't think we should boil the game down to the referee. Those 80 minutes, part of the game is the referee. We've all learned this. Part of the game is the referee. The referee can make or break a game, but it's up to the team who's leading, up to the team to make sure the pressure go and the calls go their way. And I mean, let's face it, South Africa got, I think, 9 penalties or something like that in the last second half on stupid stuff on our side. I feel we really need to question our offsides, and some of our plays, but at the same time, that is just the pressure, shows you the pressure New Zealand can bring in those last 20 minutes, because South Africa did a similar thing to New Zealand in the first half, pushing them to, I think, concede 5 penalties under that similar pressure. So, well done to both teams for really putting a masterclass of rugby on, and something that should be played to kids going forward, of what it takes to really beat the best and be the best in the world. Beautiful rugby, and a great thing for rugby in general in the world. That 12-0 points difference really, really made everybody shiver a little bit, and that was starting to see the comeback from South Africa. And again, just like in the England series, they really showed it's not about those few minutes, it's about the final score. So well done for pushing and coming back and keeping confident and keeping the boys calm. I think Sia Khaleesi, Pandre Pollard, Villiers Leroux, all of their experience really helped in bringing that confidence and bringing that calmness. Don't lose the game plan. So well done to them. Interestingly enough, the Boks played a very New Zealand style game. I don't know if that was part of the strategy, but it worked out that way. It's something similar to how the Crusaders took the Lions in the Super Rugby final. Very similar to how they've played the Aussies in the first game, where it doesn't matter about possession. Even the Argentina game last week, New Zealand had, I think, only 30 to 40% possession, if I check the stats now, between 30 and 40% possession in the game. Substantially less passes, way more tackles, and took the game by 40 points. Because it's not about the stats. The stats are just a footnote in history. The score is what counts. So New Zealand have really, I think, part of their game is the pioneering of, it's all about when you get opportunities, you take opportunities. If you're in a 22, you score, you don't leave until you score, and then you continue the game. So well done for New Zealand. I think that it's showcased that and is helping other teams learn and develop their rugby for it. I'd also like to talk about, so it was interesting to see with Jesse Creel going to the wing. I think he really helped stabilize and actually hold back Rick Leone, because he only scored after Jesse moved into centre. So Jesse Creel really showcased his strength and his defensive prowess in that position, which I think is something great for the Springboks to look and develop going to the World Cup. I know he plays centres normally, but it's something that, considering the centre pool we do have, it's good to see somebody bring into the wing, especially help with the defence. On the other side of the wing, Deanti, again, remnants of Brian Abana's heyday. Well done to Deanti. He really showed class. As I said in my reaction video, somebody needs to send Bowden Barrett flowers, or the Barrett family flowers. He was stepped outright. He was killed in that step. Well done. I think that Deanti is definitely a find and something we need to develop. I think he does move in a little bit too much on their attack and opens up holes which can be exploited. So I think Rassie Erasmus and our local coaches from the Lions need to really look at just growing his ability to understand his positioning and his channel representation, to make sure that he doesn't open up holes by being a little bit too tenacious. On that also, Faf, again, what a stunner game. It is really concerning to see how players can go from a shocker last week, like Villiers and Faf, to a balling game this week. But unfortunately, that is the game. It depends on how the players and your forwards can open up your pressure and open up and hold back that backline. I think the forwards did a great job for giving Faf space this time, and Villiers space, and making sure that they could play the way they want to play. I do think Faf needs to relax a little. Somebody needs to talk to him on those high pressure moments, because a mistake from Faf, especially when he's a little bit frantic, he's like a Jack Russell. I felt that way. He can cost us games, so Faf really needs to look at that relaxation and just, when it matters, go ape, but when it doesn't, when it actually is a serious moment, he just needs to relax, pass the ball and focus. But at the same time, you can't control a player's game too much. It can affect his overall play. We just need to look at how we can relax Faf to help us instead of to hinder us. So I think that was some good games. I feel everybody in the South African team, I don't want to single anybody out, had a stunner of a game. Every every movement in that game led to some wins. I think they led to the win. They really banded together and did well. I actually thought it was an interesting combination, something I'd actually like to see more, with Yankees at wing and Pollard at centre from the second half. I was quite concerned with both of our centres going off early in the second half, how that affected our game. But and Lukamian, I don't want to take anything away from them. They both played. De Allende and Lukamian played very well and really led to those beautiful Bok tries in the first half. So nothing away from their game. But Pollard and Jesse Creel stepped up very well in centre. And I think due to their Bulls communication, held well there. Yankees, with a floated pass to the Yankee, really opened up and was the reason for that try. So the combination of Pollard's astute defensive work, and straightening up the line, and Yankees' vision is an interesting combination that the Balcks really need to explore for the World Cup, and something I'd like to see develop more. So we'll see how it goes, but this is only one game. I mean, you don't become the world's best in one game. You've got to now build it. So this is something that we've got to take the previous week's games and how the flaws there, the successes from this game, and amalgamate them. Big things that the Balcks need to work on is discipline in the last 20 minutes, conditioning. I felt that they were looking tired compared to the New Zealanders. New Zealanders were just running like rampant. And also they need a way to get out of their 22. They seem to pretty much have the same recipe no matter what. The problem is if a team starts pushing on that harder earlier, it could cost them the game. They really couldn't find any way out of their 22 once they got in there, except for conceding points, or unless the other team dropped the ball. That can't be the only way you find your way out of your 22. They need to look at recovery plans and actually getting themselves out of there. Some of the stats from the game are staggering. As something I want to talk about both games and previous games. There was over 600 meters made by New Zealand versus 200 South Africa. There was 200 passes versus 60 for South Africa. Possession was 75-25, which are staggering stats. If anybody showed me that stat sheet after the game, I would have told you New Zealand wiped the floor. But it doesn't matter. The scoreboard's the only thing that really counts. So it's one of those things, and I think that's something that we need to look at going forward. Do those stats really, are they relevant in the modern era? So onto the Argentina-Australia game. Well done, Argentina. First sequential win in a rugby challenge, really showing why you are part of the Southern Hemisphere's premier tournament and staking your claim on the chance to actually take it. If you guys have two new good games, there's still a chance for you to actually challenge. I think it'll be very tough, but there's nothing. If South Africa helps you out, or us, but it opens up the tournament completely. I'm sorry for Australia. I think there's a lot of emotion, a lot of heart that got the better of them. I think it was a little bit just too much pressure on the players. Everybody was trying to do anything. Somebody wanted to solve the problem, but I don't think the team tried to solve the problem. Israel Folau's, effectively, in my opinion, if Israel Folau passed that ball in the end, there would have been a try, and they would have taken it. But I think Israel Folau kind of felt he had to do something, and he cost him his team the game. I know Australia depends a lot on him, but he needs to question his singular mind of play, especially at wing, where you almost need to look at the fullback and look at actually utilising him. I don't think he's played enough there to actually condone that. I don't know if it was in training or part of his style of play, but he needs to look inside himself why he seemed to not utilise the players around him as much when he sits at that wing position. So that's something Australia needs to look at. The long-range kicking from Argentina hurt Australia badly, and also scrambled, and the pop and actually ball movement from Argentina scrambled Australia's defence. They really had no answer and had to pretty much backtrack a lot of the game just on some very interesting and creative moves from Argentina. On that, Argentina's counter-attacking and also loose play is something to be envied. I think even the All Blacks are busy looking to try and investigate how they are doing it. They have some of the best footwork and handling that I've seen in many years. They are insane, and something that they need to just continue to develop and grow for the World Cup, and they are going to be a serious contender. So congratulations on Argentina. I think there was really, Nicolas Sanchez had a good game, one or two mistakes, but a stunning game, his first try, and then also overall bossing the game very well. And also Argentina, one of the few times where I felt, even with a lot of brawls, a lot of really physical encounters, and a lot of desperation, Argentina stayed calm. Something that in previous games histories that would cost them the game, where they would start focusing more about the fights and focusing more about the actual emotions and not the play. So well done to the coaching staff and the training staff for really calming the players down, the captain also calming the players down and like, relax, see the game out, and they did. Very, very well done. Last thing I want to cover also is just the Luku Tau, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, fan altercation at the end of the game is unfortunate. Fans need to realize these players are human, and it is unfair to take that game out of them. To chant at players like that is unfair. There's a lot that happens in a game, and it's not their fault, especially considering the situation. Fans knew this. His stepfather passing away. It's really unfair. We need to understand these players are humans. So something that as fans need to look into ourselves to understand. So my last little summary from this weekend and previous weekends too. Something I've been noting for a while, and I'm starting to see evidence of it is. The modern game of rugby is altering. That's why I'm questioning the stats and that kind of thing. We need to look at if there's other stats that we need to focus on. But it no longer matters how much you have the ball. It's always been that age-old thing your coach tells you that the other team can't score if they don't have the ball. That is true, but the difference is if you can't score with the ball, it doesn't matter. So again, Australia, South Africa last week. South Africa had a huge amount of possession in the second half, just couldn't get over the try line. Somehow this week that whole changed, and when they got the ball, they scored. Very reminiscent to the New Zealand style of play, and something that is interesting overall. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore about how much you have the ball. It's how can you utilize the ball when you have it, the creativity in that. So utilization is becoming a major factor in modern rugby, and something we need to see how coaches can develop and grow that ability to, when you have the ball, use it as best as possible, because there are certain positions, and especially in a World Cup knockout stages, that is what sets teams apart. And I think why New Zealand have had such dominance over the last few years. But yeah, thanks guys. Thank you for joining me on a special edition of Modern Bok, in my opinion. And well done to all the teams for really showing why the Rugby Championship is a game of the best teams in the world. Some of the Northerners might disagree, but there's no denying it. Some of the best games of rugby happened this weekend. Thank you guys. I'll release a video for the next throughout the weeks and some of the review of some further details. If you enjoy, please subscribe and like this video. Cheers. Have a good week.